Ladies and gentlemen, and those who identify as they so choose, welcome to the final match of the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament 2020 Fighter Sword Bracket Game 3 versus JohnTheBranch and DJDarkwingD. I am Laoria, and I am joined in the booth by Kaesden. Kaesden, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to seeing this match bring the tournament to a close. I hope it's a good one.
I am incredibly hyped. Game 3s are always huge, but this just feels even more so. Battle of the Titans, Fighter Sword Bracket. We have a casual mode going today. Our runners are ready to go. I've got chills. I'm just so excited right now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one.
So before we get started, I want to go ahead and shout out our crew this evening. We have, obviously, Kaesden co-comming with me. On tracking today, we have Adilor. And restreaming, we have the wonderful Amarith.
Like we're going to get started here in about 3 seconds. Here we go.
And it looks like we are off. I may have been incorrect about casual mode. It actually looks like we are going to have open mode instead.
Yeah, I am in the same boat, but it looks like we are still getting that uncle start for our opening, so it's kind of casual light.
The new casual, if you will. Here at the beginning, just got, since both of our runners opted to do Uncle Start, pulling a Quake off of Uncle, we have some sync up here. Looks like JohnTheBranch, hopefully not having any technical difficulties. Or maybe we rolled it wrong. Uh-oh. We might have a false start on our hands here.
Yeah, we got some chat going on here in the race room. I think they're going to try and work this out. Yeah, looks like we are going to be restarting here in just a minute.
Yep, so here's the good news, folks. We get to hype up even more now because we get to restart the race from the beginning again. We accidentally had a wrong seed roll, and that's okay, because guess what? We have mistakes all the time, and that's wonderful. But it wouldn't be the final race if there wasn't some kind of shenanigans happening, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just wanted to tease a start of an open seat there to get everyone a little bit more hyped.
For sure. It looks like they're going to be setting up a new room. They're going to get a new seed started and pulled up, and we will be good to go once we are, all situated. Well, while we are getting resituated here, Kaesden, what is something you are excited to see this evening from either our runners, the seed, just anything?
I'm just hoping for a good close race. I hope that there's not anything too super trolly that only affects one runner. I hope trolling in races by the seed is good as long as they both kind of have to go through the same thing. Just hoping it's a good close race.
Yeah, I agree. blowouts early on are kind of fun in their own way, but when you're in a finals match, the closer the race is, the more entertaining it is.
All right, we got our new seed getting set up here. Hopefully it should be starting here soon again.
Yep, getting
this time,
to
it will be a casual seed.
Yep, for sure. And I like how both of the runners are using their using their file names to kind of promote something that they feel strongly about. You know, DJ Darkwing promoting Extra Life, a charity that he runs for. JTV promoting legalizing auto tracking.
I gotta say, I'm on board with both of these.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't say no to, for one, wanting to help kids by playing games, and two, making our racing lives easier.
All right, it looks like we should be starting any second now.
Round 3.5. The shortcut to Ganon is this way, and we are officially off with a casual mode now. And pulling a glove from Link's house, that's something really nice to see early.
It is. It kind of makes the hunt for bombs a little less important through escape. So I'd be curious to see if they're still going to farm for the bombs, because if they don't find it when they save and quit from CAC, they can always just start at Sanctuary, lift that rock, and go right back in if they need to.
Yeah, it definitely takes the pressure off. I wouldn't be surprised if we still do see them, kind of kill things that are in the way, and if they find bombs in the pack, then great, but going out of the way to actually specifically farm them, no biggie.
Yeah, you're definitely still gonna kill things as you come up to them, but it's not going to be worth going out of your way to farm a pack of rats or the snake hallway or anything.
Yeah, and just right here from the start, we already have kind of the full Uncle kit with the fighter sword and shield. We were already going to get the sword, but it's kind of nice to see that little shield.
It almost makes you wonder if this game's even randomized.
We can't share all the secrets. All right, so it does look like DJ is going to kind of kill the guards to maybe see if he can figure out the bomb pack. I get still wanting to, maybe as like a force of habit as well.
Yeah, for sure. And if you do end up getting bombed, it does still save you time to get there. So killing stuff along the way, it still makes sense. But it's just nice to know you have that fallback.
Yeah, chat pointing out with this particular prize pack, the 6th guard or rope will have a single bomb, so not exactly the greatest pack to have to farm through. One bomb is all you need, but at the same time, you only get one.
Yeah, that one is enough. But it's also nice to get a few more than that when you're going into CAC, so you don't have to make that decision. Are you going to buy bombs, or what are you going to do about getting into the back of blind set?
Yeah, it's not a great pack. It's a bummer, but yeah, it would potentially save at least a little bit of time. Oh, John almost forgetting Zelda there for a second. So as our runners are making their way, out of Escape with Zelda, they'll be heading back to the throne room, pushing the kind of wall decoration thingy. There's a proper name for it, I just don't know it. Want to thank again our hosts for this tournament, the Go Mode podcast. This has been an incredible experience, I think, for everybody involved, whether you are a runner, a mentor, a volunteer, just everything with this was really an experience. And, this wouldn't have happened without the Go Mode podcast and the hosting styles of Tim, Dante, and Herfy Durfy.
Yeah, this has really been a ton of fun. I think it's been, about 3 months this tournament has lasted. It felt like it went by in about 3 weeks.
I think one of my favorite parts at this point is just the kind of camaraderie and different friendships that have been built over it. Friendship was the real Triforce after all.
It was. I definitely would have to agree there.
All right, John is also opting to maybe farm that pack a little bit here, killing all of the ropes. Again, not a completely, terrible decision, but it's just one that, it's a bit time consuming when you have that fallback of that glove.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if he's going to switch over to farming rats instead. It looks like John is going to do that. And it looks like he's found the magic prize pool for the rats, so I don't think that's going to pay out.
No, unfortunately, both of these packs are pretty dry when it comes to bombs.
So
have the
DJ will be getting this early advantage here, being able to check the back of Escape. And so far, it's not going to provide anything other than peace of mind.
Yeah, just knowing he doesn't have to come back here at all. He doesn't have to, worry about in the back of his mind, what is going to be there. That peace of mind may honestly have made, that farming worth it.
Right. The other thing to note is John hasn't even picked up a single rupee yet. So even if he has to go buy bombs, that's not quite an option. We do have a boomerang in Sanctuary.
Yeah, so we may get a view really quick or here soon of what our stun prize is, because if stun prize are bombs, that's, really excellent in and of itself.
And it looks like DJ might be going up to give us a look at Lumberjack, while John is going straight into Lost Woods.
And this is interesting because I feel like usually Darkwing opts to make the same kind of path choice that John did. But today, he's wanting to go ahead and get that information early about Lumberjack. Good news is it's just a 3 bomb pack, so we know we won't have to come back up here for those.
And I missed it, but chat's pointing out that we have a bomb stun prize. So that kind of makes bombs a non-issue.
Minor commentary blessing? Cool. I won't complain, and I'm sure our runners won't either. Having that stun prize knowledge will be incredibly helpful, especially in a pinch.
Yeah, it looks like, I believe John is the one who has that knowledge, and that's where he got his bomb from. I don't think DJ has checked the stun prize yet.
No, not yet, but I imagine, well, I hope anyway, that it won't be too long. I hope that he would try and figure it out on one of these 2 guards out here.
Yeah,
and it does look
that's
like
exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I would be doing to go ahead and get those, and showing off some 50-50 knowledge with that rock there as well.
Yeah, and John picking up his Moon Pearl and Blindset. And Bombo's in the back.
So far, this is a fairly nice Kakariko. I mean, it's still very early yet, but this is, you know, as of right now, seems to be a decently okay seed.
I think it's still really early to say on that. It's definitely not a bad seed yet. Lumberjack just being bombs is always nice to see.
And JohnTheBranch, you know, because he only had that one bomb from the stun prize, he had to skip well for the time being, jump down to Bottle Vendor, and came down to buy a bomb pack, which is totally fine. But with DJ having had, you know, killed both of those guards, he'll be able to get well, and then he'll be in a little bit faster position because he won't have to backtrack near as much.
Yeah, that's very true. We will definitely be exiting CAC first. We got a mirror in the well.
And the red ring. Ah, good old red ring gang. Now, Darkwing will more than likely, as we get a map check and they are all just regular blue crystals, Darkwing will have to. Well, no, just kidding. He had gotten bombs from the well, so he does not have to go and buy bombs. If he chooses to before he leaves CAC, he can go to that bomb shack and just kind of refill up a little bit. But he's probably feeling in an okay place right now.
Yeah, and with that stun prize knowledge, there's plenty of enemies along the way wherever you're going that you're going to need bombs. I think you'd be better off saving the rupees at this point.
Yeah, never know when Zora is going to be a necessity, and the game doesn't, you know, just gift you rupees if Zora is necessary. It just expects that you're always able to farm them. So Darkwing, our first out of CAC, but JTB just behind him, getting that library knowledge. Just 3 bombs. We'll see if they opt to do race game blind or skip it.
Gonna skip from DJ, and John will be running it blind. And he's just gonna get $20 for his blind check.
I'm gonna be curious if he does decide to pick it up. It's not, you know, a necessity, but, you know, that little bit of extra cash, especially having had to buy bombs, can, you know, buff up a little bit.
Yeah, with rupee count that low, I think it makes sense to just go grab it. It just takes a couple seconds. You know, until you reach that comfortable mark where you know you have enough for the rest of the seed and maybe a couple potions, it's usually a good idea to pick up your rupees along the way.
And DJ showing off that good mirror clipping there, or mirror block deletion, sorry. You know, deleting the block in the dam so he only has to enter here once. Meanwhile, John is returning to escape. He's not going to find much back here, we know, but this will at least put that out of his mind.
Yeah, I think that's smart to get back here as soon as possible. DJ finds a hook dot that's been sunk underwater. Hopefully it's not rusty and it still works.
Yeah, nothing... That's definitely a thought that I didn't, you know, consider. But I love it.
It'll definitely make this mini Moldorm cave a little looser.
Yeah, being able to one-shot these mini Moldorms does feel really, really nice, especially early on when you only have a fighter sword, and they can be incredibly trolly.
It looks like mini Moldorm cave is going to get rid of our money issues for quite a while. Brings EJ up to Zora money.
That and a little bit of extra defense with that blue mail, especially since, you know, early on, with low health, these crabs can be devastating. They do 2 hearts on green mail, but that blue mail cuts it down to 1 heart, and that's gonna be very, very nice. Although Darkwing is just stunning him with that hook shot and not even giving a care.
Yeah, these crabs can definitely be scary early game when you're coming up here, especially if you have fewer hearts than they do. If you're over here with 3 or 4 hearts, you can be in a, 2 hits at most. 1 hit is quite often where you end up.
John will be excited to get his blue mail, I'm certain, and that extra cash. Looks like we are more than likely going to get a fake flipper here from Darkwing, which, with Zora money and a Moon Pearl, this is a really excellent call.
Yeah, it really is.
I was going to say, it was just a little too far away from there, but he got it the second time. This is, this I think is one of the best early game sequence breaks that you can make if you have the right equipment for it.
Yeah, definitely. Gives you a lot of items for a relatively simple check, just as long as you make sure to not get sniped by this archer coming up here. So he can be a jerk sometimes.
Yeah, I remember the first time I got shot by that archer while swimming in the water, and I just kind of had to stop for a second, like, what? Did that really just happen? No? So, Hobo just giving us a heart container today, and the Hylia Island was really not anything. If I remember right, it was just a 3 bomb pack, so we won't be having to worry about that. And we will make our way towards Zora, check out the waterfall, and see what the King of Scam has for us today.
You do have to start wondering at a point. You got a glove, a Moon Pearl, and a hook shot. If that is pointing towards Aga with your hook shot for your early Dark World access.
I mean, it's definitely likely, and depending on what, we find in the next few checks here, I would not be surprised if it does end up still being an Agaseed. What I'm feeling more than anything is the mountain.
Yeah, that's the definite other possibility, especially with that mirror.
Yeah, that mirror and that hook shot gets you really all of Light World Mountain at this point, except for Ether Tablet.
The only thing it doesn't do is get you that access logically, since we don't have a lamp or a fluke.
Right, and if you find one of those up there, you know that logically the other one has to be somewhere down in this area.
Scamfish still living up to his name, but selling a pack of arrows.
Yeah, unfortunately, all of these water checks turned out to be just plain garbage. Mention mountain, and it looks like that may very well be where DJ is going next.
Yeah, I fully expect these runners are both going to fully exhaust their options before deciding to even really think about Aga, especially since they can't even get to him right now.
Yeah, need at least the lamp and then either another sword or the cape to really get up to Aga. It's still a definite possibility at this point, but one that I'm certain they are hoping to potentially either sequence break around or just, find something that would prevent it.
DJ navigating this dark climb up the mountain very smoothly.
And it looks like John is going to be following right behind him. So we've got kind of a follow in footsteps deal as the old man bestows his book he must have finished reading it and is just saying, hey, you should check this out.
Apparently the old man was just studying ancient languages.
It's good to know that, what is the term? Like forever educators or something, or forever learners, something like that. But we saw the lamp.
That's a very interesting location for the lamp. That means the flute has to be hiding somewhere. I'm not sure where else it could be other than possibly in Agina's cave.
It could be in the eastern area, sitting over in Saha's closet, or maybe in
True.
Eastern itself.
Yes, true.
But yeah, now that DJ has that lamp, that actually puts, if I'm not mistaken, that puts Desert completely into logic.
It
Well,
also
not
puts
logic,
Hera
but
into logic.
completable. Yeah.
Well, not yet. Again, not in logic, but it is fully completable. Do a Hera pot, get up there and clear this out real quick. Make this a really valuable sequence break.
And hopefully not have to go to the basement, but if there is something potentially required in the basement, you'll have the comfort at least of knowing that your opponent has to do it too.
Yeah, and getting that lamp along the way is nice because you have the option to grab it if you want to.
All right, so we do have the big key. We find a map in its vanilla location. So DJ is going to set up a Hera pot just to save that climb a bit. He will be able to get the big chest too. We know the small key will be up here somewhere, but we hope that there is a compass in the downstairs chest.
She's just having a little trouble getting that pixel, then decides to go ahead and climb the normal way.
Yeah, with only 2 bombs left, I don't blame him for opting to just go up the normal way for now. You can get the bomb from under this pot here and you're good to go. But it's, I think that the Bootsel setup can be really, really tricky, especially with those fine pixel movements.
Yeah, and I don't know the details of it, but there's also something to do with subpixels. You can be on the exact right pixel. With his first attempt, it looked like he was, but he got hit by probably a subpixel thing that stopped him from going up, or maybe he picked up a drop from an enemy that we didn't see.
It's very possible, and he is... I was going to say, don't skip the big chest. He finds a red mail in the compass chest, and then, oh no, gets bodied and then bumpered.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Now, I want to kind of point something out, and I'm kind of glad that I'm coming with you on this, because I think it was at a VOD review that you had submitted to Kern. There's our second item. That's excellent. One of these Kadongos had breathed fire towards that right wall there, and I remember Kern mentioning to you how you can sneak around it by holding your sword out to the left, and you can kind of sneak past the fire and not get burned.
Right, you can. You can clip about 1 or 2 pixels through that, and John opting to hookshot across and has to take a fall down a level. But yeah, you can do that, and that lets you just kind of not care if the fire is there.
DJ taking a fall to Moldorm, but, Fighter Sword Moldorm is just an absolute jerk. So this is going to be a decently tough fight for what they have, but I have no doubt that our runners will be able to take it down just with maybe a round or two.
Yeah, especially since you're forced to do his enrage phase. And unfortunately DJ takes another fall.
Oh, and John right behind him.
Yeah, but wait, when you get to that enrage phase with the fighter sword, it can be a real pain trying to finish him off sometimes. It's definitely one of the tricky fights.
Yeah, chat pointing out, when you're fighting Moldorm with the fighter sword, spins and slashes are going to do the same thing. But correct me if I'm wrong, if you spin and you bounce off his head, it's going to really recoil you. So it's not always better to spin with fighter sword. Just go ahead and slash until the last enrage phase, then hold your sword out.
That's right. Yeah. The thing is, when you're holding your sword out, you move slower, which makes dodging a little bit more challenging. But if you're holding it and you hold against the direction you're being pushed, you can also stop yourself from being knocked off the ledge. So there's a little bit of a balance there, just kind of reading what's going on in the fight and the RNG. And there's also just a huge RNG element to the fight as well.
Yeah, as much as we like to hope that we could potentially bait Moldorm, he will sometimes come in your direction, but you don't know when exactly he's going to turn or what he's going to do.
TJ had a close call there with that center hole, which drops you down a couple floors. That's the worst place to get knocked down.
John entering in rage and taking down Moldorm fairly quickly after entering in rage. Really well done. Gets that small key, but we know that Compass is downstairs. We don't need to go.
So both of our fighters having a little bit of difficulty here on Uldor. You got to wonder if that's going to make either of them feel like they might be behind.
I couldn't imagine
DJ does
that.
get Uldor.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm with you though. I couldn't imagine not feeling at least slightly behind, having fallen to Moldorm even once, and both of our runners took multiple falls. John deciding to save and quit. Okay, he's saving quitting to the mountain, so he does realize, yay, I have the hook shot, I can do this. But this is going to put DJ a little bit ahead again, because just jumping down from Hera is faster.
Yeah, that may have just been a moment of wondering what the fastest way to get across was. I don't think it's a big difference either way. It's just going to be, a couple seconds plus or minus. But yeah, fortunately, he did come right back here and is going across to check the true hype cave of the game.
Good old Paradox Cave, where up is down and down is up. And we find the hammer. So, if for whatever reason the flute was locked behind Aga, then this sequence break up the mountain will have avoided Aga.
Yeah, that's definitely. It makes the logic of these seeds really interesting, and it can make it kind of hard to follow sometimes. It's good to keep that in mind, that flute has to be either a flute or a sword or cape. It has to be somewhere in the light world that's still accessible, just to bring everything back into logic. And if it is the flute and that ends up being required for like Misery Mire later on, which we don't know yet, that could become a factor towards the later parts of the game.
Chat reminding us, by the way, that the lamp is actually still required for Aga, so the flute isn't behind Aga. So at this point,
Right.
logically, Aga was dead. Unless there is the myth somewhere.
That is possible.
At this point, though, it's incredibly unlikely with how early that hook shot was. You would get your hammer here too. So I think logic is going to fix itself pretty quickly.
Yeah, my money is on the flute being either in Sahasrarla's closet or in Eastern.
Yeah, if it is, sitting over with the second old man, Agina, then, it's kind of a gross place, but at least it's still, a Sphere 1 check. Pulling the cane from Spiral Cave, we are kind of sitting in a nice place right now. Depending on what our Dark World dungeons are, we've got a kit to finish a few of them.
We do. There's a lot of good progression items that have been gathered so far. I'll be curious to see what dungeons are actually required as DJ makes his way towards the portal.
Yeah, and John right behind him. You had mentioned you wanted a close race. Well, our runners are almost synced. All right, we have Pod and Meyer as red blue pendants, Turtle Rock as our green pendant, and Thieves Town Swamp as the 5/6. I think that right there might be my least favorite part about having all blue crystal light world. Just that map check in the Dark World takes.
Yeah, there's a lot of information you got to gather there.
All right, so real Hype Cave now, only really providing us a bottle.
Yeah, the Hype Cave that's actually named Hype Cave, more often than not, tends to be just some stuff that you don't really need. Although that bottle does, that does open up one more check.
Yeah, and once, our runners do head back to Kakariko to go to Village of Outcasts, or, while they're there, they can always mirror in front of Sick Kid's house, but, Sick Kid being a possibility, it'd be, well, gross, but it's there.
Yeah, and we do get our first divergence as DJ is heading over to the pod area, and John is heading towards western Darkwood.
Ooh, and getting bullied by this murder dactyl, but going ahead, finally getting past the little mini maze there and taking him out.
DJ making a quick stop here at the back of Saha's closet, so be curious to see if the flute is actually here or possibly another glove.
Meanwhile, John finding the Master Sword on Stumpy.
And there's our flute.
All right, so we are fully back in logic at this point. John realizing he doesn't have the 80 rupees for the dig game and is having to go ahead and leave that for now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Never feels good to get all the way over there and then realize, oh, can't quite do this. And DJ almost in a similar situation with Kiki here with just 9 rupees to spare, or 19 rupees to spare.
John is going to be kind of following DJ a little bit here, but he is staying in the light world for now, so more than likely will be dipping eastern, but will be having to run down to the 5 spot to get his Dark World access.
Yeah, so DJ is doing probably the same thing I would do, which is clearing eastern first since it's a crystal. I'd be curious to see if he decides to dip into pod.
Well, and he won't be able to clear it right now because we are still missing a bow.
We are missing a bow, but you could do pretty much everything except for the boss. I didn't notice what was in the bottle that they got. Is there a potion in there to unlock?
I believe it's a fairy. So
you can still do the trick with a fairy. It's a little bit trickier. Be curious if he knows that.
Good news is we do find the big key, so we can go ahead and get into that without having to, go all the way through. Hopefully we find some more items here, and DJ can leave, feeling a little bit more at peace. And you mentioned wondering if he's going to dip into pod, even though it's a pendant. I mean, how many seeds lately, being honest here, how many seeds lately have we seen that has a pendant pod with progression in it?
Every time you skip pendant pod, there's progression in there. And every time you dip it, it'll be empty. At least that's my experience.
I mean, I would be shocked if with the mirror portal right out there, DJ didn't at least go in and see if it's bow locked.
Yeah, I suspect he will. I think that's his plan. That's the reason he routed the way he did. So we'll be curious to see what he does shortly.
Yeah, chat kind of pointing out John's decision not to farm rubies at the archery game. It could be that it's just still a very unknown thing. As we find Quake, we will not have a medallion hunt today. It could just mean that he doesn't, know that it's there necessarily, or he doesn't really know, the timing for it or anything like that. But I mean, there are still plenty of other checks, so I don't fault him. DJ deciding not to do pod.
He's going to go straight over and activate his flute.
I don't hate this. You can be able to flute to 5 pretty quickly. He may be hoping to find a bow before going back in that direction again to actually complete Eastern and then maybe dip pod.
Yeah, I don't know if he was hoping to find a bow in Eastern. Definitely seen it there more than I'd like, but it does seem like it's pretty uncommon. And the sick kid has a nice payment for visiting him.
Take my life savings, he says. Yeah, it is. Chat also pointing out that he did leave the portal right outside as well. So he could have activated fluted to 5 and gone right back up through the portal. It doesn't look like that's his plan because he is heading up this way to go towards Village of Outcast.
They took a slight detour in how they got here, but our runners are once again playing follow each other's footsteps.
Yeah, and John's going to have just a hair easier time here in the Dark World because he does have that Master Sword.
Yeah, and that can make a pretty big difference. And DJ going up into Skull Woods.
I get this play because the front of Skull Woods can, feel and act a little bit like Overworld. I don't know if
I think I like the Thieves Town play with you have the hammer, you go in there and full clear it. You don't have a fire rod, and I've found a fire rod down in Village of Outcast quite a few times, and it always feels bad if you've already tipped Skull Woods.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like John's play earlier of trying to kind of clear out the South Dark World first, it would kind of have pushed him up this way after Thieves Town a little bit more, and so he'd be more incentivized to come up this way, especially if he doesn't get mitts. It's kind of isolating Dig Game a little bit, but not really at the same time.
Right.
And so far, the Skullwoods play has just been dungeon items. We haven't found really anything of worth here yet. We do have the big key, so we will be able to go ahead and, bomb hop over there. But as of right now, it's looking like these items may very well be in the back and fire locked.
Yeah, at best, there's going to be one item here. And it's very possible that both items are hiding in the back. And then if we do end up seeing that fire rod in Village of Outcasts or Thief Town, it'll make this place going to feel that much worse.
So DJ is trying to kind of use the sword out as, lining up here, and he's not quite getting far back enough. For this sword spin setup, it seems like daunting, but it's really not too hard at all. All you do is just go ahead and let your sword charge up. You walk like you're going to fall, and then as you are kind of holding back to not fall, you release the spin and you're good to go. And there's our bow.
DJ does get a payout from coming in here.
Wow. So then at this point, I'm certain we'll see him go ahead and go into Village of Outcasts and Thieves Town because Thieves Town is a 5/6 crystal, but I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see him flute right over to 5 after finishing sweeping this area and go right on over to Pod Eastern.
Oh, we have our boots up on Bumper Ledge.
And even though we have access to desert, we don't know if it's boots locked, so we might still be on a cape hunt.
Yeah, we could be. That's really good knowledge for DJ to have them and know where those boots are. So as soon as he finds that cape, he can run right over, grab the boots, and start moving quicker through the game.
Yeah, this seed is feeling a little bit like deja vu of important thing on Bumper Ledge and then finding or going for a cape hunt. I know DJ in particular ran a seed yesterday that was similar in that kind of setup. Unfortunately, DJ sitting at 1 heart, making his way through here. It's unlucky that there was no, refill of any kind in the village itself. But the good news is he does have that fairy in a bottle, so if anything happens along the way, he's not in too tough of a spot.
Yeah, so he won't have to make a trip all the way back over here at the very least. He does safely make it into the dungeon, so at this point, if he takes the fall, at least he's, not going to be back at the start menu.
Right. And in my brain, I think it's just, you have red mail. It's not too big of a deal. But I'm certain, if you can save that fairy for blind just in case, I'm certain that that's what he would like to do.
Yeah, it's always nice to have some sort of safety on blind when you're going in there without any sort of immunity item. Because if you do end up getting off script for whatever reason, that fight can go from very easy to very difficult very quickly.
All right, John, on his side, also making his way through Thieves Town, is going to be picking up the Maiden. And because we do have the small key, and I believe now have seen all of the dungeon items, we do know there is something in this big chest. Good thing we got that hammer from the mountain.
Yep. Yeah, that sequence break is really showing its value. DJ showing some good knowledge of where some health refills are in the dungeon.
Unfortunately, Blind's payout is just 5 rupees today.
Well, apparently Sick Kid had all the life savings, so Blind only had $5 left.
Does this make Sick Kid the real criminal mastermind?
Possible. Either that or Blind never did a very good job of robbing people.
That's a very likely possibility as well. We do see in the Hellway here, Darkwing did take a death, but luckily that fairy, kept him going. Something I noticed though, for the sake of his health, Darkwing was hook-shotting those Stalfos, but did not opt to kill them and get their stun prize of bombs from them, and he only has one bomb left. He'll be able to get 2 here in this room, but, just kidding. I forgot there was some here in the attic chest too. Never mind.
So he walks in with 1 and walks out with 5.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good trade. All right, and instead of heading north to Skullwoods and Bumper Ledge area to get that information, John is coming down this way to do to dig game. He will not be able to get back up unless we find the mitts here.
Yeah, that could end up being a big factor in this race. Is when is John going to make his way back over towards Skull Woods?
And he definitely still has plenty that he can check. And it may be a situation where he's waiting to have a fire rod, but it's there. You only have 1 check down here. You could always loop this in before you do the smiths if need be. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with going south, but at least this takes it off of his mind.
Yeah, and I totally get the decision to go south without that fire rod. It's a little harder to be objective about it when we know what's in there and where you need to go, where you need to find your progression.
And we've got John going ahead and going to desert. Darkwing, in case anybody is like, wait, did Darkwing check big chest? He did do it first. He went and did the big chest before picking up the maiden.
Yeah, I was just wondering that myself. I must have missed that, and I noticed he doesn't have the small keys. That doesn't really make sense. But if you check the big chest first, then suddenly everything falls in line.
Yeah, because I kind of had seen him heading back towards the maiden cell from that area. I was like, oh, okay, he did that first. Just kidding.
And a nice blind fight from DJ.
Yeah, so the biggest question now is DJ going to go ahead and go back to the eastern pod area, or is he, of course, after checking the south of Dark World real quick, Stumpy and Dig Game, does he go back to the pod area? Does he finally go to desert and we still have kind of the following in footsteps sort of deal? Where does he go next?
And we do see half magic on the desert torch. It's one of those items that you really wish you could grab, but you have to wonder if it ever feels right to go back and get it. And I'm gonna guess probably not.
No, I'm gonna guess not either. And that might be what keeps DJ away from desert. He doesn't have that knowledge that it's not boots locked. And so he very well may decide to wait until he gets cape, gets those boots, and then heads over there. So we very well may see him go ahead and get half magic, just depending on where items are laid out. Yeah, this is interesting. John is waiting on Lanmo. He knows the information about both items, but decided not to go ahead and finish it right now. We don't have to do Meyer, hopefully, because it's a pendant, so I'm very intrigued by that decision.
Yeah, I get it. If you don't have weapons that you're comfortable fighting a boss and you've already found both items in the dungeon, you have the flute and the mirror to get back quickly later. I get it, moving on, just going and doing something different. And it looks like DJ got his Master Sword, so they're on par for weapons.
And before he heads back to what will assume is the eastern area and pod area, he's going to come over here and get that Bombos tablet information. I think he was ready to to flute away if needed, but getting that Master Sword and knowing he can go ahead and pick this up now, this is a smart, quick change on his part. Unfortunately, just a big 20, so he'll be going over to Agina, and then we'll see from there as we get a pod dip.
I feel like there has to be something good in here. I feel like we're starting to run a little low on logic locations.
The question
At least the ones that you want to check.
Right. The question is, are we bow locked? And we are not. So John is going to keep going, kind of almost auto-pathing to bow lock side for a second there. Gonna keep going. We'll see what further ridiculous shenanigans we can find back here. On DJ's side, he is making the desert play. It'll be curious to see if he does go ahead and opt to take care of Landmo now, or if he makes a similar play to John and decides to come back later with maybe a fire rod or silver arrows or a better sword. Alright, so we do find the big key in the basement of Pod. Can't check the right side right now. We do have one key to potentially get to the back. John looks like he might... Oh, maybe not. Maybe he just made a mistake. I was going to say he might try that potion fairy glitch.
I think he was thinking for a second about what he had and what his options were and where to check first. Looks like he decided to go to the back first.
Yeah, there very well could be two keys on that right side, two small keys, or, one other item as well as a key. At this point, we won't know until Darkwing really heads that direction. What I would not be surprised to see is John go ahead and check Dark U, check this chest right here, Hellway if we need to, gets the ice rod.
Seeing an ice rod with pendant TR is more fun.
Yeah, it's not nice, especially since it's a green pendant and so very potentially required. Two keys down here, so if we assume there is a key on the right side, I believe that means there is something in the Hellway. John opting not to check it. Oh, maybe he is. Maybe he had that same realization.
Yeah, I think he was just figuring out, how many keys do I have? Where can I go to? And there's the cape.
So that will give access to our boots. And like I mentioned, DJ is going to have a much easier time and more thorough time with pod, he's going to be able to get through here a lot more confidently than John is at the moment. But DJ also has the information of that cape is potentially super... it could still be important in terms of, maybe GT Big Key is on the torch, but also just maneuverability.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit of a feels bad moment to find the cape after finding the boots.
Yeah, especially since he had opted to kind of abandon pod earlier. But like I mentioned, he has the bow now, so he'll be able to come back in here and really clear it out. Vortex in chat pointing out flute, all 3 medallions, ice rod, Samaria, I smell ped.
That's definitely possible.
Yeah, at this point, as I'm looking, we could potentially have flips on ped. I think at this point, that's the only thing that we could see. Because mitts are required and fire rod is required for pendant dungeons.
Yeah, that would be the only required item that would be there. I think it's very unlikely, although possible.
Yeah, and that would be gross to have to pull the ped for the flippers just to be able to do, realistically Swamp Palace, because our runners have already shown that they can fake flippers, so getting to ice is a non-issue. John showing us that Pyramid Ledge is a big load of nothing right now. He'll be heading up, it seems, towards Catfish. We do also have the Graveyard Ledge. Sorry, I was struggling to remember the name for it. The Graveyard Ledge, but if he goes just a little bit past that, gets his boots, he can do all the rest of that in one nice swoop. All right, DJ is going to be heading in here to Eastern. He's going to take down Armos with that bow that he has. And then we'll more than likely be finally taking that portal back into pod. We'll get his cape and probably be a little salty that he didn't check this earlier, but it'll work out.
And Catfish has our flippers. Ped is dead.
Yep, at this point. Sorry, friends. We will not have an Agaped seed for you today. All right, John taking out that hook shot. He is going to go ahead and head across here to the graveyard. That's, I think this is the right call. It's just a matter of, make sure you get back in that portal and go back over to Bumper Ledge. Go to Bumper Ledge.
John is going to start making his way across the north of the Dark Mountains. Should get over there shortly. Well, actually, I guess Ped isn't dead. There could there still... No, Mitts can't be there. We still have to find the Mitts, though. I'm not sure where they could be at this point.
Yeah, still have Mitts and still have Fire Rod to search for. And neither of them can be on the Ped because both are required for Pendant Turtle Rock. So at this point, I'm hoping for Fire Rod to be in your favorite location.
That would just be awful.
It would be awful, but think how many times it's happened, and it's just, in the final match.
This time, it wouldn't be happening to me, so I'd be okay with it.
Exactly. We're just humble viewers. We can wish craziness upon the runners. All right, did go back into the dark world, but is having to kind of traverse through the through the graveyard backwards a little bit, which always is kind of a meh need, but we know this is right.
That's one of those awkward mazes. If you have a Titan's mitts or a boots, it's pretty trivial. If you don't have either, it's just take the worst possible route through it.
And I imagine after picking up these boots, he's going to head right back there.
Oh, definitely. It's possible those boots are locking our 2 items for go mode.
Could you imagine Fire Rod and Mitt sitting in Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb?
Definitely put a bit of a lead for John if that happens.
Yeah, even with DJ already having this bow, you know, it's still just based on this routing. John, I would say, has just a slight edge, but it's going to be tricky. Except he needed to stay in the dark world for King's Tomb.
John just left that portal behind. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to head over to King's Tomb and realize, oh, crap.
I mean, maybe these are Titan's mitts and it won't be a problem. Just a shield.
So not Fire Rod, but Fire Shield. Okay, game. Yeah, he's going to get over here and realize he has no way into this King's Tomb here. So he will have to flute to Village of Outcasts, go back into the Dark World, and regain it that way. Unless he really wants to go back up to the mountain and go through the mountain exit.
I'm pretty sure at that point that's going to take longer than just about any other route.
Yeah, it wasn't the best decision to leave the portal there. We might just have to ask him about if that was just kind of a derp moment or what was going through there. I like this swamp play, especially it being a 5/6 crystal. He'll be able to route in Pyramid Fairy immediately.
Yeah, I do like this play too.
So at this point here, we are still in Mitts and Fire Rod search. The question on my mind here is really kind of thinking DJ here. Where, after getting that cape, does he just, go straight towards Bumper Ledge, or does he manage to go up to Catfish and get those flippers, leaving that spot potentially?
Well, that's a tough call. It's easy to say, of course, you go up to Catfish when we know he has something that we need. But this is definitely a tough call. Catfish is never fun to route in.
Having a hard time with this item dash, getting kind of bullied by the Water Striders and the Medusa there.
Yeah, they can sometimes, the timing of those shots can just be like one after the other. Like, oh, you dodge this one, you're getting hit by that one. DJ picks up his cape or his boots in disguise.
Yeah, and having completed Desert now, I find it extremely unlikely that he'll go back just for the half magic either. So RIP half magic. Alright, so 2 items from Go mode. On John's side, technically 3 because he does not have the bow yet. Skip left side, do left side.
I like to do it personally. It bites so often when you skip it. I tend to go if I find a map, a compass on before I go to the left side, I'll consider skipping it. But if there's potentially 2 items over there, I'm doing the town.
Yeah, we have not found any of the swamp dungeon items other than the initial small key right now. So this could be a really nasty map compass left side, or even, I guess, potentially worse, map big key or compass big key, and then the big chest has nothing. Having a little bit of trickiness with this diver down at the moment, unfortunately. DJ, after getting that cape, he completely left Pod, fluted over here to go get his boots. So that catfish is going to be sitting there for a while.
Yeah, that is going to be an out-of-the-way check. Yeah, there's really not going to be a good time for him to get back over there until that could end up being the last location. You gotta wonder if just having that cape and knowing where that's at the front of his mind, like, I gotta go get those boots, and just not thinking about what you're leaving behind.
Yeah, it can, when you know where an item is and you have what you need to get that item, it can always sometimes feel like you have a one-track mind of, I have to get there as soon as possible, when it's not exactly the right case. John is having a really tough time with this diver down. I have a feeling that, oh, there he goes, he got it. There was probably something with his inputs that were causing him to not get that lineup into the railing the way that he needed to. I know I personally like to pause buffer there, and I had seen Super Malmo World in chat had mentioned doing a pause buffer there too.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of people pause buffer there, and if it helps you, save multiple tries to do it, it's definitely worth doing. And DJ does still have his Dark World portal with him, so we will be able to get that checked in King's Tomb and see what's in there.
Yeah, and if this is Mitz or Fire Rod, this could be really, really a big play for DJ, because, we know that King's Tomb is kind of left on its own right now on John's side.
Yeah, and there's that map big key on left side in Swamp, so that never feels good.
No, kind of hoping at this point that the big chest does have something to make left side Swamp, any kind of worth it.
Yeah, it's just 20 rupees.
So yeah, if DJ decides to skip left side Swamp, that'll be a big time save for him, especially with the amount of time that John took to try and get that diver down going. And I missed what was King's Tomb. I'm going to have to catch it on the restream.
I missed it as well. It was a fire rod.
Fire rod. So
that's huge.
Yeah, we are mitts at this point from being in no mode. Both of our runners still have one item that the other has that they need to pick up. DJ is going back to pick up that half magic.
Half magic and or just clear the dungeon at the same time.
And Mitts in Swamp Palace in the waterfall chest. So, or not the waterfall chest, I apologize, in the one of the drowned chests. So we are in no mode at this point.
We are, so now it's just a race to see who's gonna, collect their final items. And I'll be curious to see if this half magic ends up playing into anything later.
Yeah, sitting at Master Sword Silverless right now, you have the lamp, so it's not too terrible to do it without half magic, but getting through GT feels so much more cozy with half magic, especially since you can fire rod the mess out of all those Stalfos.
Yeah, it's not required, but it definitely makes so many things in the game much nicer to just be able to use some fire rod spam, whether it's Landmo 1 and 2, whether it's the Stalfos, or just any enemy that's in your way. Doing the back of Skull Woods with the Mummy Room.
Yeah, so at this point, we need to hope that John kind of eventually makes his way over to King's Tomb and Skull Woods to pick up his 2 final items. On DJ's side, he has flippers marked, but I do not think he has gotten them. He has not made his way over to Catfish yet. So we need him to go ahead and make his way over to Catfish to pick up his flippers, and he will be in go mode. DJ for a second, I think, forgetting that Skullwoods is the opposite direction, and that's where we need to go to find another item up here. He's hoping that it's flippers, but unfortunately, we know where that is. And in other good news, we do not have to dip either Mire nor Turtle Rock.
Let's just hope DJ gets to Catfish before deciding to dip those.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, it's just a kind of awful one-off check to have to go to. I wouldn't be surprised if after Skull Woods we see him go ahead and mirror and check it, since, it could technically be on the ped.
Yeah, so both of our runners have 2 different one-off, easily isolated checks that are going to be holding a very important item. It's going to come down to who makes the decision to make that check first, or who's going to be in a better spot.
Yeah, and it's so hard to want to go back to those locations. You want to try and gamble that they're not, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see some last locationing with it. Arista and Chak bringing out making a good point. DJ, I feel like DJ has been, 1, very thorough, but 2, he has every other dungeon completed except for every other crystal dungeon completed except for the 2 that require flippers. What we don't want to see DJ do, though, is to dip the other pendant dungeons looking for those flippers. And if he decides to do that instead of checking Catfish, that's going to be really not good for him. Oh, this is a good point. He can't dip those other dungeons. I am a goof. They are mitts locked, and mitts are in Swamp Palace.
That is a very good point. So yeah, that's definitely going to play into DJ's favor.
Chat, I apologize. Sometimes when you're up on this side, it's hard to remember all those little things. I don't know why. He's heading to the right place, though. He's heading to that spot at 4 to mirror in. Or, I'm sorry, to go to the Dark World. It's just a matter of go to Catfish.
He is heading north.
Yeah, and since he didn't flew to 5, I imagine this is not a, hey, let's go back to Pod and maybe see what Helmasaur has, because I haven't counted items.
No, he's heading straight north. Heading over to Pyramid first. This makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, because this could easily be it too. So we're very likely going to see DJ go ahead and enter go mode here soon, as after he gets those flippers from Catfish. Meanwhile, John's side, he is making his way through Ice Palace, making good time, but unfortunately, because he's still missing that bow and that fire rod, which we know are at Skullwood's Big Chest and King's Tomb respectively, he's losing time, whereas DJ's going to be able to go mode this.
Yeah, the plus side is he is losing time, but at least he's losing time by doing something that has to be done, so it's not completely lost. But the longer it takes him to get over to King's Tomb, that not saving that portal could really come back to bite.
And the other unfortunate thing too is it may take even longer for him. Having gotten those mitts, he has all of Dark Death Mountain open as well, as and on top of Mire and a good chunk potentially of Turtle Rock. This feels a little bit kind of like that async seed that CJ hosted.
A little bit.
Where mitts are kind of finding mitts before anything else are kind of hurting.
Yeah.
All right, and at about
the best thing to hope for there is that if John ends up on the mountain and looking at Turtle Rock, that first check is not a small key, because if that's a small key, that opens up just a giant rabbit hole of checks.
Yeah, and that's not a rabbit hole we want to see John go down. Having a tricky time with Cold Stare, but meanwhile, while this has been happening, DJ did pick up those flippers from Catfish, and he is in go mode, so he is heading, accidentally mirroring, but he is going to be heading...
He does still need his mitts to be in go mode. We know where it is, and we know it's along the way, but it looks like he's heading right towards them.
Yeah, and hopefully for his sake, as far as time goes, skips left side. But at this point, we know that there's still two more items that John needs to get. I think that it's safe to say that DJ holds a pretty decent lead. John picking up his third crystal. Hopefully he heads to Sanctuary and not to the mountain.
Yeah, we'll see where he's going to flute somewhere. We'll see which direction he goes. Releasing that bee, I'm going to guess it's flute 2. Yeah, I'm going to go pick up some potions.
Yeah, I don't mind this at all, especially since that Cold Stare fight kind of bullied him a little bit. Have those safeties in hand. So heading to the Mire area, hopefully we'll, after maybe checking Mire, should go ahead and finish off Land Molus, and then he will probably head back here and possibly dip Mire. Now, I learned a little trick recently about this room that DJ is in. If you have a fire shield or a mirror shield, they just by design kind of inherently cause lag. So if you hold the wall right before that water starts filling up, it does kind of speed it up slightly, or at least, gets rid of the lag.
Yeah, I think it's just the shield must act as an additional sprite on screen that slows the game down a little bit.
John gonna go ahead and get his half magic here too, it seems. So we were wrong earlier when we said, potentially skipping this. Both runners decided to opt into going and picking it up.
Yeah, and I totally get getting it. It's a really nice item to have.
Yeah, for sure.
And for John, the best thing here is DJ is doing left side swamp, so that's taking as much time as swamp could possibly take here to get his mids. But there's a definite gap that needs to be closed for John to come back at this point.
Yeah, and you mentioned him going left side swamp. DJ got that diver down a lot faster than John did as well. It's going to take quite a bit, I think, at this point for John to be able to catch back up. So DJ going to very shortly get his information that left side swamp was a total bust, while John enters his land molus fight.
I'm a little surprised John isn't using the ice rod here with that half magic.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see it too. It may just be something that he's not aware of. For anybody who doesn't know, Ice Rod does the same damage as Fire Rod, but it moves slower at first before it speeds up to the same speed as the Fire Rod. So it's a little bit weirder to time. And at 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 16 seconds, DJDarkwingD has now officially, after I called it wrong a couple times, hit go mode. We are finally good to go. Let's see, DJ is making his way over to Argus, and John kind of baiting a little bit. I thought for sure he was going to go up and go towards King's Tomb area, but is instead opting to do Smiths. I mean, from his point of view, this is, 3, because we can't do Magic Bat, kind of in a line checks. So it's not a terrible idea. We just know that it's not the right one.
Yeah, I get the check, and it's just unfortunate. It's hard to look at it through their eyes. They don't obviously know where the item is, so this is just as likely as anywhere else.
Yeah, and here's what I'll say too. He got the mitts, and technically, the Smiths, the King's Tomb, they are technically mitts locked areas. So as long as he does this and then either saves and quits to Sank or whatever he needs to do to go over that way and do these mitts locked chests before dipping pendants, we know that it'll work out. But if he decides to dip these pendants, it's going to be really rough.
Yeah, it really is. And it's unfortunate too, because Dark Death Mountain, Penguin pointed out in chat, it's the next logical place to go. Just be looking at the density. Ron does get a tempered sword though out of that purple chest, so that definitely helps.
Yeah, tempered silverless is a big step up from Master Sword silverless. It, I believe, quite literally cuts the fight in half.
Yeah, it does.
And, unless there is another sword in GT somewhere along the way, we're looking at DJ more than likely, having Master Sword Silverless. There's always the potential that Silvers are up there too. I don't know which I would prefer. Master Sword Silverless or Master Sword Silvers. I mean, Master Sword Silvers, it's only 4 hits at the end, but it just feels so awkward.
It really does, but it's so much faster.
Chat with
DJ taking a half second there in that pin gator room. I think just realizing, oh yeah, I'm in go mode. I don't have to kill any of these.
Nope, he doesn't. And I like the maybe span from chat, like maybe after Pyramid Fairy he goes up to King's Tomb. Maybe,
hopefully.
I'm with you, chat. I'm hoping he does too, because Fire Rod will push him to Skull Woods. Skull Woods has his bow, and he will have entered go mode as well. He got his hook shot out. This could be good, chat.
This could be good, and this could definitely make a difference. Having that tempered sword, depending what DJ finds along the way, you're checking minimal chests that could definitely come into play.
And I know we're hyped, but I have to point something out that's kind of wonderful. So our Restreamer Amarith is just an awesome person for picking up this race today. But not only that, there was a potential where, some people may be like, oh, she's helping John because they live together, but not the case. They have actually set up an entire barrier between their two setups. And I just gotta say, hearing or seeing in chat, I've been mentally screaming at John for 25 minutes. I can't imagine how hard that must be to see, your friend, your roommate, who you've mentored through this tournament, and not be able to, say anything to them, especially being near but not right next to. I'm not certain where John's going. He's already in the Dark World.
It's going straight to, just picked up the Fire Rod, heading straight into Skull Woods, which is going to work out nicely, getting that bow and go mode.
It's nice, but this is an interesting route to go there from King's Tomb area.
It is. I think it would be faster to mirror and flute and just go lift the big rock, but it's gone to the right location.
Yeah, this is, it's okay. It's the finals. I'm sure there are just kind of, pressures on.
Got to be through the roofs at this point.
Especially since, you're still not in go mode an hour and a half in. That has to be weighing on him. Meanwhile, DJ has finished his final crystal and we have to start a game. Would you like to explain it?
Yeah. Ganon's Tower has 22 locations where the big key could be. You could put your guess in chat, which it looks like most people are already doing. And I think Laoria let me explain this so that she could get her guess in.
It was already sniped anyway, but but sort of. What is your guess, Kaesden?
I'm looking for a number that's still available. I usually go with 13, but that's already been taken, I think. Yeah, Garrison took my number.
Yeah, mine got sniped by Trinex. My good old 14.
I'll go with 15 because I haven't seen it in the list, but I'm also trying to watch the race at the same time.
Yeah, playing games while also trying to talk about other people playing games, kind of difficult. Oh, DJ finding a tempered sword in Super Bunny Cave, so kind of evening the playing field here. Yet again, Super Bunny on the way up to GT, kind of making a big deal. I'm not salty. Are you salty? What?
John having
All
a
right.
nice moth fight there.
Really excellent. We still will see him go to the front to get his bow from the big chest, or at least that's what we hope that we'll see here, so that he can go over clear eastern and then make his way up the mountain as well.
As DJ enters the tower, it looks like we are going straight into Hope Room for our first 2 checks. Number 1, we get a rupee. Number 2, we get another rupee.
Having a moment to think about what is needed next. What is the next item here? Small key on Bob's torch. R.I.P. Bob. All right, John did not mirror and flute away, so he is heading towards the front of Skull Woods. This is going to be really, really good for him. He will have to go down into the room south of the Pop Prison to get his big key, but he will be getting his bow here very shortly. And so far, after 7 checks, we do not have our big key yet.
That was number 8, I believe.
I believe so. We'll be coming up on number 9 here in just maybe about like 20-ish seconds here in the fire snake room. John setting up the bomb jump. We have he is entering go mode at 1 hour, 30 minutes, and about 33 seconds, while DJ picks up a small key from Fire Snake Room, chest number 9, and will be making his way to this good old Rando room.
Okay, number 10 is a rupee. 11 is the map. 12 is a rupee. And 13. Good thing I didn't get 13. It's just some arrows.
The dream is still alive for 15, or as I changed mine to 22, because why not? Somebody's gotta be that kid, right?
Someone's gonna get it right.
John making his way through the cannonballs on his way to fight Armos as DJ visits the no longer Bob and is going to be opening the chest.
Still Bob, it just has a change of clothes.
Fair enough. Only a small key though, so not the big key we were looking for. Having an okay Armos fight. Armos on ice, not exactly as easy as people might expect. Getting that last hit.
That fight can be a real pain. 15 is bombs, 16 is arrows, and 17 is more bombs.
So we are heading to the right side. If JohnTheBranch decides to do Dark Magician strats, this could, be very, very helpful to him.
Yeah, it would definitely close the gap a little bit. Or maybe it's sitting there in tile room.
I can only hope. John's nerves, I definitely think, must be getting him a bit here. These red Igors giving him more trouble than I've ever seen him have with these, so I definitely think he's just having a moment. And it is key number 20, and the silver arrows in, chest number 20, chest 21 being the silver arrows. So DJ is going to be making his way up, feeling good.
Yeah, silver arrows, that's a nice find.
And congratulations to Blackjack, the winner of today's guessing game. You have won yourself 17 points on the Go Mode Podcast leaderboard and a lifetime subscription to the Go Mode Podcast, available where podcasts are, well, available. John is making his way up the mountain now. The question is, will he decide to go up through Super Bunny Cave and pick up his butter sword?
I imagine he will. We will see shortly.
And he is, so he will be going up the mountain, or going up GT with a butter sword. I don't know if it will be enough at this point, but if he opts to do Dark Magician strats and go get his keys from Dark Magician Room and go right, this could be huge for him.
It could. It definitely could close the gap and put it within a mistake away from swinging this game.
Yeah, you wanted a close race, and at this point, I think we're going to have a fairly close race. All depends on how John decides to route GT.
It really does. I think anytime both runners end up in GT at the same time, to me, that qualifies as a close race.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. DJ going ahead and picking up that bunny beam as a fairy. It does shift the timing of the Landmo head spawning, so it does make silver shots a little bit trickier, but he'll be able to clean this up relatively quickly between Tempered Sword and silvers.
And he does just that, takes out Landmo 2. And heading on to those ever-satisfying Wizrobe rooms.
John enters GT and is going to Hope Room. So at this point, we have to hope now that John opts to do a kind of weird route known as, I believe, Pink Magician, where you do Hope Room into Dark Magician Room and then mirroring go back full right.
Or grab this key from the torch and go full right. Doesn't look to be the case, so you can hope for that Pink Magician strat.
Yeah, at this point, that is going to be John's biggest save, is if he decides to leave this room and mirror. It's going to be tough.
Do see the Stalfos being killed, so it looks like John is going to be going down that left path.
Yeah, and this is going to do nothing but help Darkwing.
Yeah, it is for sure.
Who kind of blink and you miss it. I missed the entire Wizrobe level, just watching on John's side, seeing where he was going to go, but Darkwing is already at Moldorm 2.
They made quick work of that gauntlet. Oh, and that was a poke on Moldorm, so he is enraged, but takes care of it with little issue.
Yeah, holding that sword out and just letting the mad Moldorm kind of bum rush him ended up working out. Validation shovel today, ladies and gentlemen. Of all the items that could be in Moldorm's final chest, a shovel. DJ opening his Agatu fight with a double, followed by a single. Starting to sound like one of my burger orders here. Unfortunately, missing a double there on that hit, which would have moved it on, but finishing him off with a 2-1-1-1-1.
John getting a little assist there from the beetle to avoid that teleport tile.
Yeah, if you can't quite get that bonk right away... Oh no, John, no! If you can't get that bonk right away, being able to...
Oh no, John mirrors.
You know what? This is okay, though.
That actually helps, though, yeah.
It was a strange decision. Instead of just going up to the big chest room there and then coming back down, I think you can do that.
I think you can do that or go left.
Yeah, like you can go to a previous room.
This is one of those oops moments that at the end of the day is going to end up helping John.
Yeah, wow. Meanwhile, DJ, he is on phase 2 here, pulling out that cape, going to make it a little bit safer for him. By a little bit, I mean completely, because he's invulnerable.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of using the cape on Ganon whenever you have it, especially with half magic.
Yeah, absolutely. And DJ, I don't think is in, you know, I'm almost certain he has a potion as well, so he is good to go. John picks up his silver arrows and his big key, and he will be making his way up the tower.
DJ getting the torch glitch here. Setting up for arrow shots.
Just one more hit on Ganon. And pending bridge shenanigans here, we have our fighter sword bracket champion, DJDarkwingD, who will finish with a racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 24 seconds. Get your GGs in chat. I can't even talk. I'm just hyped.
Did you like that bow placement?
We will have to ask him.
Looks like DJ is going to be joining us shortly here for an interview.
And y'all, I gotta quote one of our tournament admins, Lady Box Thief. That's the tournament, y'all. And what a tournament it was. A total, I believe, of 264 races over the past, I believe, 10 weeks or so.
Somewhere around there, yeah. It feels like it was about 3 months.
3 months, but felt like it flew by. What
like
a
3
tournament.
weeks.
And we are joined by our fighter sword bracket champion, DJDarkwingD. GG.
Thank you very much. A real quick shout out, to Amarith Amarith, because they did not roll a trash seed for once, and I thank them for that.
Yeah, I
sure
was
she's
noticing that.
pleased.
I had to double check who rolled the seed a couple times during the race.
So I think our first question is just going to quote the end screen there. Did you like that bow placement?
Absolutely. Like that was the craziest silvers I've ever seen. Check number 21 right next to the big key in 20. The hell was that?
I think it was just the game saying, you know what? Let's stop giving Amarith all this flack for rolling garbage seeds. We're going to put the big key and silvers right next to each other. And also, here, have a sword in Super Bunny Cave.
Yeah, that was also a good place. Although I'm sure that, probably brought some flashbacks for you.
I'm not salty.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It was really, really, really funny. Just this entire series has been a joy to watch. 2 weeks in a row, you make the reverse sweep where game 1 doesn't exactly go your way, but games 2 and 3, you just roll. How does that feel?
You know what? I'm just happy to win. Yeah. Sorry, I've got all these emotions right now.
Yeah, I can only imagine after, doing these races week to week to week, it's, you've done it.
Yeah, I mean, it feels really good to get here. And, I think it just winning Fighter Sword, I think kind of shows the growth that I've had over these last, 10 weeks. So it does make me feel really good that I was able to win it. But yeah, the 2 reverse sweeps in a row were really cool. I got extra games in, so that was always awesome. But it was the same thing with both of those seeds, where I couldn't find something because it was in a really dumb location, and I just completely lost. So I was really glad to have 2 kind of straightforward seeds. I wouldn't say this one was straightforward, but better than most seeds.
Better than some. So I did want to ask you, how did you feel when you went into pod and you found that cape?
My first thought was, well, that opens up a few extra checks for me. So why don't we just go ahead and go get the boots? I decided as well, it looked like I was kind of facing a Master Sword Silverless. I was still a Master Sword at the time. So, you know what, it's going to waste me a little bit of time, but I'm sure doing the next couple of bosses I have to do, it's going to go ahead and open things up and let me do those a little bit faster. So that's why I went back and got that half magic.
Yeah, we were both speculating early on. Saw that on the torch, even after we knew where the boots were, that there's probably about a 50-50 chance that gets left behind, and turns out you both went back to grab it.
Oh, John went back too. Okay.
Yeah, John's
for both
first
of you,
time.
it was a very, very quick pickup right after getting the boot.
I mean, at most you're wasting like 30 seconds. Yes, Mocha, I know who drugged me into the tournament. That was coming, you jerk.
No, that's just a sign of good friends, ones that, cheer you on, but then also remind you, hey, who really got you here? But I don't think we can continue without saying, like, just how much growth has happened in this tournament. I mean, from the Swiss stages to now, what can you say has been the biggest like click moment, if that makes sense?
My routing. I think that kind of started to click a little bit more with week 1, thanks to Worldwide Wimpy. Sorry, I just got a text from my brother saying congratulations. He was tuning in. Thanks, bro. But it's definitely routing and making better decisions when it comes to when I should go somewhere and when I should just say screw it and leave it. Sometimes that doesn't work out the best, like we saw with the placement of the flippers. I was kind of thinking about, okay, well, that's up there, and ended up almost last locationing it, basically. I mean, there was a few other things I could do, and it was still fairly early, but still.
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I do want to point out John just finished with a race time official time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 11 seconds. So get your DPs in the chat for John, and it sounds like we are joined by John.
GG, John.
GG.
GT, everybody. That's a good tournament.
GG to both of you.
That's a wrap. Let's do it all next year. Is this where I go to complain about the seed?
No, I praised it, so we're leaving it there.
Okay, boy. That graveyard ledge. I even made a couple of mistakes going there. Everyone saw me saying, "Oh, wait a minute. I don't have golden gloves. I can't get in here."
Yeah, I think we all kind of felt that pain whenever you left your portal on Bumper Ledge and jumped down, and then realizing later that just how important the King's Tomb was.
It was Graveyard Ledge, wasn't it? Not King's. Oh no, it was King's Tomb. You're right.
Yeah, it was King's Tomb.
Oh, could I have gotten there? You're right.
You got over to Bonk Rocks, and you couldn't go any
further
than that.
That's right, because I got the boots and I didn't have it on my... Yeah, I wasn't in my routing because I had just picked up the boots. Boy, that would have been a big difference.
Yeah, it definitely did hurt you. And I think what hurt you most with it was, that fire rod pushed you immediately to Skull Woods, which is where that first bow was. And so it was kind of tough, but at the same time, you ended up going to Catfish a lot sooner, and so you got your mitts. And so our biggest fear was, with those mitts, is he going to go into Mire or Turtle Rock? No, don't do it.
Oh, I was considering both.
But the good news is you decided to check those other kind of mitts-locked locations with Smith's, and then finally going back to King's Tomb, and it really worked out from there. So it was really smart to check those overworlds mitts checks first before you dipped those pendants.
Yeah, it seemed like it was the time density, especially because it didn't include another trip up Death Mountain. Yeah, I suppose my biggest mistake there was not checking King's Tomb when I had the chance, not realizing I had the chance. Oh well, it was a great tournament. Good GG to Darkwing. You did fantastic in this tournament.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hey, real quick, where did you get your where was Butter for John? Or I guess I should just say, where was the fourth sword? Because I'm sure you got that other one, in Super Bunny.
Butter where was Butter?
Your tempered, I think, is what it would have been, because your Butter was in Silver, or was in Super Bunny Cave. But your tempered, if I remember correctly, was it Ice Palace? No.
I thought it was in the Mire area and Purple Chest.
Purple Chest.
Okay. Purple Chest, that's what it was.
I'll see it tomorrow when I rewatch this.
Oh, yeah. I guess you would rewatch this. I'm not sure I want to. Seeing that mistake there.
I know 100% that feeling, man.
All right. What other questions do Kaesden and Laoria have? Did you get through asking Darkwing the 20 questions?
I mean, I think we asked the biggest ones, and there's one that I kind of wanted to ask you both, and Darkwing did already answer this, but you were the runner-up in the fighter sword bracket. This tournament is all about learning and getting better. What for you was the biggest light bulb or click moment?
I'm not sure I had one. I guess the biggest one was the improvements I made when I switched mentors. I definitely now would recommend switching mentors at least every 2 or 3 weeks because the routing differences between here, let me think them real quick. Amarith and Trinex, the differences between those two gave me a lot of insight as to what I was doing very slowly during the Swiss brackets that I could have improved but it was just so gradual over time. Before I think week 1, my finish time was like 2 hours 20 minutes.
And just, I believe earlier this week you had, sub 140. If it wasn't sub 130, it was still really close in the 130s. So to be able to cut that much time off is huge, and it's got to feel good to, feel and see exactly how far you've come and how much you've improved during this tournament. Even if you didn't win, the bracket overall, you've still made incredible improvements.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I've made more than the improvements that I expected to make over the course of this tournament. So I'm pretty darn happy with that.
Let's see, Kaesden, do you have any other final questions for either of our runners?
I think we've covered pretty much everything. The only other thing I would say is, everyone's still watching, give our runners a follow. The tournament may be over, but I'm sure they're still going to be running stuff. So give them a follow. Check out the Go Mode podcast. And thanks to the Restream crew and our trackers and admins and everyone behind the scenes.
Yeah, GG everybody. Thanks to there's so many people made this tournament work. There were you counted up, and there were over 100 people between volunteers and mentors and the admin team.
Yeah, I honestly cannot wait for the Go Mode podcast release, not this next week, but the week after, that kind of goes over a lot of the mentor tournament stats, as far as like for the racers. The mentor discussion just came out, and it was really incredible to listen to, but I'm really excited to hear next week with everything. I'm excited.
Real quick too, I want to give a shout out to all my mentors. They taught me so very much throughout this tournament. Worldwide Wimpy, Kaesden, you had me 1 week as well. Learned a lot from you too. I had Trinex 1 week. It was great to chat with him and pick his brain. Lou Maga, one of our tournament admins, was 1 week as well. He was awesome. I think that's all of them, because there was one that kind of forgot we had a race, so I had to go mentorless. But thank you to everyone that helped put this on. I know a lot of things have already been put out, but you have no idea how thankful I am for this tournament, and how good it's been for me. These last few months in the world has really sucked. And this tournament has been a really great outlet for me. So thank you to everyone that has made this possible. And of course, the biggest thanks I have to put out is to my friend Mocha Jones. He's the one that first told me about the tournament, and said, "Hey, why don't you try to get in this, and we'll learn and we'll get better." And I'll be damned, we both got way better throughout all the weeks of this tournament. He has been my biggest cheerleader over the last few weeks, pushing through the fighter sword bracket. So Mocha, if you're still there in chat, I know you had to kind of pop in and out. If you're still there, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so very much for being my friend and being there for me.
Yeah, and shout outs to Pennant Pod for not having progression for the first time ever.
How is there not a sword in Swamp?
Yep.
Does that change your opinion of the seed, DJ?
No, because I still found my master. I've still found my tempered.
Yeah, you can't complain about the seed where you won the tournament. That would be bad form. That would be very ungrateful to the seed.
No, Pod did have progression. Thank you, Adilor. Pod had the cape, which gave us boots, which gave.
It was a required dip. You're right.
It was, yeah.
I even remember picking up that cape. I wonder if this is progression. I just forgot where I got it. Old clothes. You never remember what store you bought them at.
Fair point. And I think that what's said has been said. This tournament has been just an incredible experience for, I think, all of us. Thanks again to the Restream crew today, Amarith for restreaming, Adilor for tracking, Kaesden for being an awesome co-com. I I think it's time to go ahead and wrap this up. So I have been Laoria.
I've been Kaesden.
And y'all have a wonderful night, and we will see you for GMP Mentor Tournament 2021.